So I mean, I am not responsible for the immaturity, okay, and the half-baked thinking, okay, of people who have transferred their need for ideology from religion to feminism.
Literally. That would describe 2022 in a nutshell. The people who used to be the ultra-religious ones in the previous 2 generations or 3 generations, whatever, they've changed their perspective or their need for ideology from that religion to womanism. And should a person oppose them, well, guess what? Those people are infidels and they need to be destroyed, right? It's literally the Salem witch trials, but instead it's whoever's against the modern day womanist thinking.
Yes, this is probably the most controversial area that I have written about. Okay, and from the start, when I became known in the early 1990s. Okay, this has been my views on the subject have been highly inflammatory, and I am coming to the subject from the point of view of a 1960s woman, right, who, as a student, when I arrived as a freshman, my first year in 1964 to college, rebelled against the strict surveillance by the college administration of the lives of the women students. This was the period that was called in loco parentis, that is, in place of the parents. The college administrations felt they had the obligation to supervise, to monitor, and to protect the women students as they did not the male students. Hence, we had all-girl dormitories, all-male dormitories.
Honestly, I don't think that's so bad. Because in the modern times, basically what's happened is that university has become the place of people just sleeping around. And the issue is the following. Because again, it's a lock and key analogy, right? If you allow men to like sleep around, I mean, it's fine, but I mean, only the top 10% of men will actually be able to sleep around. But if you allow women to sleep around, what happens is that those girls ruin themselves for all future men, right? Because a lock that's opened by any key is a terrible lock, but a key that can open any lock is a master key, right? Another good way of saying it, another analogy is that basically, women are like temples and men are like soldiers, right? So if your temple is allowed to be invaded by any soldier, then your temple is very poorly protected, right? But if you're a soldier and you've invaded 200 temples, well, I mean, you're a really good soldier, right? That's the idea there. So it's like these different analogies, they amount to the same thing, which is men and women are different, and having different rules for men and women should be the case. And men should not be treated as defective women, which they are in modern gynocentric society, and women should not be treated as defective men, although they never were, right? Women have always had their role and what they were supposed to do, and it's only in the modern time that that role has been subverted and sort of perverted from what it used to be, right? Anyway, let's continue.
The men could come and go at any hour of the day or night. We women had to sign in at 11 o'clock at night so that the authorities of the college knew that where we were, right? And we said, okay, my generation rebelled, okay, and said, we called for an end to this practice. They said, the world is dangerous, okay? We have an obligation to protect you against rape. Okay, and what we said, okay, is give us the freedom to risk rape. That is true freedom. That is.
So, again, this idea of girls not being free is false, right? Like, again, the logic that they're using in order to allow their freedom, so to speak, is actually poor, right? And the reason is because of the long-term negative consequences, right? So, again, the reason why they were saying that women needed to be protected is not against the R word. That isn't the true thing that they were protecting women against. The true thing they were protecting women against was their own nature. Because here's what will happen if women are free to, I mean, this is just an extension of, okay. It's much more complicated, right? So the idea is the following. Before, the father used to select who the woman married, and the woman was supposed to be chaste and not have many partners, right? And whether the man was chaste or not was not so important so long as he could provide, right? And all of it extends from this, right? Everything. Like, that's what these rules actually extend from. They say that if your father wouldn't be okay with you leaving home at 11 p.m., then you shouldn't leave home at 11 p.m. even if you're under our care, because we care about your protection. We would like for you to maintain your purity, your value, so that you can then be a good wife and mother, right? That's the idea. So the argument that Camilla is using here, and it's funny that this video is how she dismantles modern womanism. She's not dismantling modern womanism at all. In this specific instance, right, what she's actually explaining is exactly womanism, which is that girls are free to do what they want, right? But at what cost is what modern society, the question that modern society poses, right? At what cost? And the cost is that these girls go and sleep with Chad, right? And because they sleep with Chad, they've ruined themselves for all future men. And not only this, they have a high chance of being alpha widowed. And so they've ruined themselves not only for their future husbands, but they ruined themselves for their future children as well. Because they don't even love their future children as much as they could have had they remained, had they kept their value, right? And that's where these rules actually come from. They don't come from the R word, because the R word, as we've learned from statistics, is actually relatively rare, and especially on university campuses. And I'm sure that even in the 1960s, it was still relatively rare. And when I say rare, I mean like the sort of occurrence that happens 1 out of every 20,000 times. It's not like a very common thing, like they're saying. And if you don't agree, if you want to see the statistics, there's actually a good video done by Fresh and Fit and Rollo Tomasi. Just look it up. Look up this R culture and how it has been unsupported by the statistics, right? So they're using the R word as an excuse in order to get their actual outcome, which is quote-unquote freedom. But freedom to do what? Freedom to gain the attention and the bedroom fun of as many males as they can. And in the process of doing this, what happens? In the process of doing things, these girls then destroy themselves from the very thing that they actually want, which is marriage in a stable family unit with children. That's what they actually want. And this process of womanism allowing the girls to do whatever they want has actually caused the very problem. And in countries where, you know, religions such as Islam are practiced, it's not so. And even in countries where, you know, they're heavily Christian, it's not so. And in the old method, in the old world, in the old way that things used to be, it was not so. But it is so now, and the genie's out of the bottle. And so it's not a surprise to anyone that men are walking away, right? Because now the marriages are a raw deal, because who are the men marrying in the modern times in 2022? Well, the men are marrying the girls that have had their fun, so to speak. But the girls that have had their fun are not marriage material, because they're unlikely to be able to pair bond. If they're unlikely to be able to pair bond and form good relationships with their husband, what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is divorce. And no-fault divorce is ubiquitous, right? And who initiates divorce? Well, women 80 to 95% of the time. So if that's the case, then why would men choose actively to hurt themselves by entering into this raw deal? And that explains 2022 just perfectly. Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. New to the channel, liking the content, please hit the sub, hit all for notifications. If you would like to support me, I do have a Patreon. It has exclusive content. It's patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just subscribe to any tier Any support is appreciated. All right, let's continue with the video here.
That's what the sexual revolution gave to women. Freedom. Now, what will women do with the freedom?
And that's the thing, right? So the bedroom fun revolution gave women freedom, quote unquote, but freedom to make poor decisions. Because when they didn't have this freedom, they actually had better life outcomes than in the modern time, right? And that's the issue that many men have with the modern time, is that these girls are ruined and they don't, and the genie's out of the bottle. They don't, like, the times aren't going to go back. And so because of that, the relationship that the very men that live today, the relationship that their grandparents had, that they can see in front of their face, is unattainable for modern men, right? And so why enter into such a deal? Okay, let's go to this article here. 7 ways that women manipulate men. There are many tactics used by women in order to manipulate and ultimately hurt men. Many of these are common phrases you've heard growing up. Hilariously, or maybe sadly, these snippets are manipulation tactics used on men to serve feminine primary goals. And let me explain what I'm talking about so you can avoid it. Okay, so number 1 is let's just be friends. So let's just be friends is a very common manipulation tool. Don't be fooled. The friend zone is terrible for men. You have to do all the things that a boyfriend does for a girl without any of the bedroom fun. And your priority in your life as a man is yourself. Why would you ever devote your time to a woman who's going to manipulate you into doing things for her without getting anything in return? It's ridiculous. Okay, number 2, he's just a friend. Men, I want you to implant one important concept directly into your brain. There is no such thing as a male friend for a woman. All of her male friends want to sleep with her. Do not let a woman manipulate you into thinking that she has male friends. She's going to cut all her male friends out of your life, or there's no relationship with you. If she refuses this, then you see it for the manipulation it is and you leave, because you're going to end up getting cheated on. Whether now or in 4 months is irrelevant, right? Number 3, you're amazing just the way you are. If a woman ever tells you that you're amazing just the way you are, there's a serious problem. Because the girl wants you to stay the same. And if she wants you to stay the same and not change any of your behaviors, it means that you're being a perfect servant to the feminine imperative. Because women, I mean, if you've seen enough TikToks, right? If you've seen enough of the videos on my channel, if you've seen enough of the content on this corner of the internet, and on, to be frank, on the girls' corner of the internet, you know that girls are always complaining about the men they're attracted to. So there's a reason for that. So it means if they say don't ever change, that there's something you're fundamentally doing wrong. Okay, another manipulation is you're such a nice guy, you'll have no problem finding a girlfriend. If a woman ever calls you a nice guy, I mean, it's a universal signal. It means the women in the area are going to flock to you and start extracting free value. You are the loser that gives his value and capabilities away for free. Do not be manipulated by this expression. Again, hearing this one signals there's some serious problems with your abilities to set boundaries with people. You've likely never led a relationship in your life. Number 5, buy me dinner, you might have a shot. More than 90% of women have gone to dates with men they would never sleep with. If a woman hits you with the why don't you buy me dinner first, it's a manipulation. The woman who is truly interested in you would not try to suck value out of you first. She would recognize and respect your value and likely get on your program. Women that use this line are fishing for Johns. These are men who will give their time, attention, and money away for nothing. Don't be that guy. Number 6 is bait and switch. So many women operate on the concept of bait and switch. They listen to what you say you want and show you these behaviors. The instant they feel they have you, they retract those behaviors. These women operate on the sunk cost fantasy. They believe that since you've spent so much time with them and you enjoy the bedroom fun, even though her behavior has changed, you'll stick around. Do not be fooled. You should immediately leave your girl who's doing behavior like this. She should want to be well behaved for you because you're a man deserving of respect. If she would be so disrespectful as to fake good behavior just to try and snag you, she should be cut loose. And the next one is gaslighting. So luckily not all women use the gaslighting tactic, but this one is very insidious. Gaslighting is just denying reality. So women who gaslight will do something egregiously bad and then when confronted will call you crazy or say it never happened. Gaslighting is very often used by women with borderline personality disorder and causes serious psychological harm. So it's like girls like Amber Heard, basically. If you see even a whiff of this, run. That woman is not one you want to deal with seriously. All right, back to the video here.
And feminism, okay, should have taken my view and said that now, okay, you are the equal of a man and you must protect yourself as a man would. You must see the world as dangerous as a man would, okay? You must be as defensive and aware, hyper aware of your surroundings as a man would, because men too are attacked for all kinds of things, okay? You know, men too are the victims of crime, and so on. Instead, we've had this process, okay, of women calling for protections, a new paternal, okay, from the government, okay, and now from the college administrations again. They want to draw the parent figures back into their sex lives, okay. This, to me, is a major, major fault of contemporary feminism. Okay.
Okay, so here's the thing, and I agree with Rollo Tomassi on this. There is no contemporary womanism. All womanism is the same womanism, which is the destructive thing that aims to create a gynocentric social order. But anyway, and it has succeeded. In the modern times, this is what a gynocentric social order looks like. Again, everything in our modern society, in the West, everything favors women, right? And men are taught that they're defective women. So literally, it's a gynocentric social order. There is no denying it at this point. And if you don't believe me, just look at who you can't criticize, right? Girls can say whatever they want with their identity fully exposed, fully bared, doesn't matter. Their reputation doesn't suffer at all. But try criticizing women on a platform and see what happens to you. Okay, so no, but anyway, so there is no true womanism. That's like, it's the no true Scotsman fallacy, right? There is no feminism that was like this perfectly equal utopian thing. It was always for the purpose of creating this gynocentric social order. But what Camille does get at, which is helpful and useful, is this idea that women, once they got the freedom from womanism, they still demanded the traditional chivalrous protection that they had before. So effectively, what womanism did is it actually allowed women to have their cake and eat it too. And that's 2022 culture in a nutshell. It's the have your cake and eat it too culture, right? That is what actually happened. So once these girls got their freedom, so to speak, I mean, it's not really freedom, because freedom that leads to your destruction in the future, right, because it encourages all the wrong kinds of behavior, that's no true freedom at all. That's actually a worse prison than what you were in before. But anyway, I digress. Let's continue with the video here.
Okay, all right. There are great responsibilities that come with freedom.
Indeed.
Okay, and one of them.
Oh, right. And this is something that I do want to get at, is the idea that women in the modern times in 2022, many of them, they want all of the authority that comes with being free, but none of the responsibility. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want rules for thee and not for me. That's what they want, and that's what they have. And that's why so many men are walking away. So many men are walking away because there is no fairness. It is entirely unfair, and the scales are balanced away from men. And here's the thing. Men are still expected to do their traditional cultural role, right? And so many men are saying, if you don't give me what men used to get, then I'm not interested. Because the modern deal is a raw deal, right? And so the rate of marriage is like 8 out of 1,000, right? And it's no surprise. It's no surprise, because who would get married in such a culture? All right, let's go to the fake Tinder profile. Again, this is not a real person. You can just Google this. These are basically, if you go on these dating apps, these girls will copy these profiles, right? So, but there's a lot to learn even from these fake profiles, and that's why I do the commentary on them. So this is Bridget, who's 21. She's a garden tool who you can take home to your mother, and she loves long walks to the bar. So what is the implication? And you can even see from a picture she's revealing a lot of skin. So what's the idea? Girl is 18 to 23. She's in the prime of her agency, you know, when she's able to attract the best men possible. So what does she do? She spends that time going to places where men gather, advertising herself to those men and sleeping around, right? Rather than try to lock down a husband at this age and have children when she's able to have the best children possible, being of a low reproductive age and therefore being more fertile. They don't do that. They're just wasting their time. So again, this kind of thing ties directly into that womanist video, right? That we were just seeing with Camille talking. So that's the idea there. So again, you can look up Camille Paglia if you're curious. Let's go back to this, and then we'll get to the article in a second.
Is that you must take responsibility for your own defense. Now, secondly, okay,
yeah, girls are not doing
saying,
that.
Okay, that communication in sexual communication is far more than words. Okay,
Indeed.
Sexual communication is by the body. Okay,
Indeed.
There's a whole series of nonverbal modes by which we communicate
Indeed.
our interest in sex or our readiness for sex. And one of them is dress.
Indeed.
Okay, so it seems to me that the contemporary woman has not fully thought through the nature of her dressing, of her.
Actually, that's not true. They've thought exactly through it, but they only want the most attractive men to give them attention and want it to be legalized. They want it to be put into the legal code that if you're not attractive enough to the girl who's looking at you, that you can then be put in a metal box. That is the goal. The modern goal of the 2022 womanist movement, right? It's to limit male freedom maximally while maximizing female freedom. And so that's where we get the... So no, they know exactly what they're doing. Girls know exactly what they're doing when they dress a certain way, when they wear certain perfume, when they put on a ton of makeup, when they use filters, when they put on those pictures on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever they're using. They know exactly what they're doing. They're doing that on purpose to get male attention, but then they want to complain when the men when the attention of the men that they're getting is not attractive enough for them, right? So when those men are losers in her mind, she wants those men to stay away. She only wants Chad, right? So that, like, it's again double standards, right? Okay, let's continue.
Dress, okay? The way she dresses and how much flesh she exposes,
Indeed.
It contains a sexual message, okay? I'm saying to women, expose your body. Do as much as you want, but be ready to defend. Watch out for the dangers of the world, okay?
Exactly right. And this is why I would recommend that you don't just go out willy-nilly by yourself at night exposing a lot of skin. Again, you're attracting the wrong kind of attention, right? And this is why women need men, actually, for protection, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And again, that circles back to the initial argument, which is, why those rules were there in the first place, because you don't want your daughter going out exposing herself to all kinds of threats, and also exposing herself to, multiple bedroom fun with multiple men, and then suffering the long-term consequences of that. All right, let's move on to the article here. So here it is: how to get over other people's opinions of you by not giving a damn. So again, this is what the modern woman is taught, right? So here's not giving a damn. You may be thinking I'm joking when I say giving a damn is one of my main spiritual practices, but I'm not. I got an email a few days ago from a fat massage therapist who wanted to get into health coaching, but was worried that people wouldn't take her seriously as a health coach because she was fat. I introduced it to my deep spiritual practice. So here's the idea, guys. So here's the idea. Don't try to change yourself. Just gaslight yourself into believing you're all that. That's what women in 2022 are being taught, right? And obviously, it's very bad to think that. And this is why you get so many girls with like the huge inflated egos, right? You get them because they've been brainwashed by every possible source, right? 8,000 years at least of not giving a damn. The deep spiritual practice of not giving a damn has some serious ancient origins. As Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching approximately 8,000 years ago, care about people's approval and you'll be their prisoner. In other words, if you give too much of a damn, other people get control of your choices. I may not always use the words not giving a damn, maybe growing up in New York has made me comfortable and happy with curse words than most people. But to me, there's a power in saying I don't give a damn, and I don't feel when I say I don't care, I'm releasing all attachment. When I say I don't give a damn, there's a power, forcefulness, and a rebellious quality that I love. So here's one more thing. Guys, this advice is great for men. Not giving a damn is fantastic advice. But for girls, if they follow this, what happens? If they follow this, they become masculine. They become unattractive to men. And so they ruin themselves because men then don't want to commit to them. And then they complain that those men don't want to commit to them. You see what I'm saying? So starting your own not giving a damn practice. So number one is just say it. Literally say, I don't give a damn more often. Someone thinks you're too fat to do X, Y, Z. Say, I don't give a damn. Someone won't acknowledge your feelings about something. Say, I don't give a damn. Someone doesn't like what you're saying. Doesn't like that you're saying it. You can guess what I think. So again, what is the idea? What are modern 2022 women being taught by this article? They're being taught, only care about yourself. Don't think about the effect of your actions on other people. Be strong and independent. It's literally exactly the message of be as masculine as possible, be as argumentative as possible. And this would be fine, right? If we lived in a world where, you know, men and women were the same, then men and women acting the same would have fantastic results. But unfortunately, women acting like men, all it does is push men away. And so the girls being taught this are literally hurting themselves. And the saddest part is that they don't realize that they're hurting themselves. And because they don't realize they're hurting themselves, they're just causing the problem to get worse and worse and worse. There is no prevention. There is no change of behavior. There is only a negative consequence, which they don't see until after the war. Because of course, a girl can do whatever she wants really from the age of 18 to 23. And then her options start going down until eventually she has none. Or, you know, limited, or she only has options of guys that she was never attracted to in the first place. So there you go. All right, the energy bounce. When someone confronts you with a negative judgment or opinion, take a moment to picture or imagine or feel that energy just bouncing right off you. It's an internal judgment. If it's an internal judgment, imagine that judgment flowing right out of your body. Feel love and gratitude for those that support you. So basically, don't listen to criticism, just push it away. Again, guys, criticism is very important. Especially self-criticism, because in order for you to become better, you need to acknowledge that you're not perfect. You need to acknowledge that you need to change in a positive direction. In order to acknowledge and that acknowledgement that you're not perfect and that there are things that are wrong with you will actually allow you to grow and become better, become stronger, right? And ultimately become a superior man. But you have to go through the process of feeling terrible first. So this is terrible advice. Alright guys, we're going to end the video there. Again, if you're new to the channel liking the content, please hit the sub, hit all for notifications. And if you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon. It's at patreon.com/theheliosblog. It has exclusive content. You can join any tier. Any amount of support is appreciated. Thank you so much for listening, especially if you took the time to listen to the end of the video. You're wonderful, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please remember to do all of the following. Like the video for the algorithm. Comment on the video. I respond to all comments and I'll give you a heart. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can see my content on your feed. Check out all of my content on other platforms. It spreads the reach of the channel. YouTube, bit.ly/HeliosYouTube. Rumble, bit.ly/HeliosRumble. My blog is realheliosblog.com. My podcast, bit.ly/HeliosPodcast. My Patreon, patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also support the show at bit.ly/HeliosDonations and buy my books at bit.ly/HeliosBooks. Thank you so much for all of your support.